Leaked information about Mercedes' 2026 engine has sparked outrage across the Formula One paddock, with rival teams like Ferrari, Audi, and Honda pressing the FIA for urgent clarification and potential sanctions. The controversy revolves around a thermal expansion loophole in the engine, which may allow a 16:1 compression ratio in the garage to expand to nearly 18:1 on track, giving Mercedes a hidden 15 CV boost enough to dominate qualifying and race pace if unchecked. The leaked specs reveal intricate engineering tricks, including exotic alloys and precision thermal design, that are difficult to detect in standard inspections. Rivals fear Mercedes might be operating in a gray area the FIA has yet to address, leaving the paddock in uncertainty. Later in the video, we'll analyze the full implications of the leak, show how this advantage could impact Red Bull, Mercedes, and the championship, and explain why the FIA is now under immense pressure to act before the first 2026 race. The Formula One paddock has entered a state of unprecedented tension following leaked information regarding Mercedes' 2026 engine. Rival teams, including Ferrari, Red Bull, and Audi, have formally approached the FIA, demanding urgent clarification and possible sanctions. The leaked data suggests that Mercedes may be exploiting a subtle thermal expansion loophole in the engine design, allowing an officially measured 16:1 compression ratio to increase to nearly 18:1 during race conditions. This discrepancy, while technically within certain limits, could translate to a performance advantage of 15 horsepower, enough to dramatically impact qualifying and race outcomes. The paddock is buzzing with speculation as teams attempt to understand both the technical and strategic implications of this revelation. At the center of the controversy is the intricacy of Mercedes' thermal expansion system. The engine reportedly uses specialized alloys and precise thermal design to manipulate component expansion under track conditions, a mechanism almost impossible to detect in static inspections. Rivals are concerned that this might constitute a gray area advantage, where Mercedes remains technically compliant while extracting performance beyond what other teams can achieve. The paddock recognizes that if unchallenged, this hidden edge could dictate the balance of power in 2026, potentially undermining the carefully calculated strategies of competitors before the season even begins. The FIA's response, or lack thereof, has amplified tension across the grid. While the governing body has acknowledged the complaints, no immediate ruling or technical clarification has been provided. Historically, the FIA's deliberative approach to technical disputes can favor the team operating in regulatory gray areas, creating a window of competitive advantage. Rival teams must now operate under assumptions, making strategic, engineering, and testing decisions without knowing whether Mercedes' engine will be deemed legal. This uncertainty has injected both urgency and psychological pressure into every garage, forcing teams to rethink development priorities and resource allocation. Mercedes, for their part, maintains a position of calm, emphasizing compliance with all FIA regulations and asserting that their engine adheres to the letter of the law. However, leaked specifications indicate subtle operational nuances, such as optimized cooling and energy recovery systems, designed to maximize performance under dynamic conditions. Rivals are analyzing these details, attempting to determine if they can replicate similar advantages without risking regulatory violations. The leak has effectively turned preseason planning into a high-stakes chess match, where technical innovation and strategic interpretation intersect at every decision point. The leak has caused a ripple effect across the paddock, altering preseason preparations and testing strategies. Teams are revisiting engine maps, cooling configurations, and energy deployment plans to anticipate Mercedes' potential advantage. Even minor miscalculations could result in measurable deficits on track. The situation has elevated the psychological stakes as well. Engineers, strategists, and drivers must now operate under the looming assumption that Mercedes may hold a hidden, nearly undetectable performance edge, forcing constant vigilance and proactive adjustments. The controversy has also highlighted the limitations of current FIA testing procedures. Teams are questioning whether static inspections can truly capture the performance effects of dynamic thermal expansion. The leak has ignited debates about whether regulatory oversight needs to evolve to address increasingly sophisticated power unit designs. Rival teams now face the dual challenge of competing against Mercedes' potential advantage while anticipating future regulatory interpretations, adding another layer of complexity to an already high-pressure preseason environment. Finally, the broader implications of the leak extend well beyond the immediate controversy. The outcome of the FIA's investigation may set precedents affecting engine design, testing protocols, and team strategies for the entirety of 2026 and beyond. Teams are acutely aware that any ruling or lack thereof could shift the competitive balance, influencing development decisions, budget allocations, and strategic planning across the grid. The leaked data has created a landscape where technical innovation, regulatory interpretation, and psychological strategy intersect, setting the stage for a season defined as much by tension and uncertainty as by on-track performance. The leaked Mercedes 2026 engine data immediately sent shockwaves through the paddock, revealing specifications that suggest a hidden advantage. According to insider reports, the thermal expansion mechanism allows the engine to operate at higher effective compression ratios on track than what is measured during static FIA tests. While Mercedes maintains compliance, rival teams such as Red Bull, Ferrari, and Audi began dissecting the leaked data to assess the potential performance edge. The technical details suggest that even a small advantage could translate to up to 0.3 of a second per lap, a margin significant enough to influence qualifying, race strategy, and ultimately the championship outcome. At the core of the controversy is the so-called thermal expansion loophole, which could allow Mercedes to extract additional horsepower without technically breaching the regulations. Sources indicate that this advantage might be 15–20 horsepower, depending on track conditions and engine load. The leaked data implies that the Silver Arrows have optimized their engine components, using specialized alloys and precision engineering to expand under operating temperatures. Rival teams are now forced to speculate on both the magnitude and consistency of this advantage, trying to anticipate whether it will be a one-off benefit or a repeatable performance gain across the season. The revelation has triggered immediate strategic recalculations. Teams are reviewing engine maps, cooling strategies, and energy recovery systems, attempting to identify potential countermeasures. The uncertainty forces engineers to operate in a defensive posture, balancing innovation with the risk of regulatory non-compliance. This is a unique preseason scenario, where teams are forced to prepare for a moving target whose true capabilities remain partially unknown. The psychological impact of competing against a possibly superior engine has further intensified tension within rival garages, influencing decision-making and resource allocation. The FIA's handling of the protests has only added to the drama. While formal complaints have been acknowledged, no official ruling has yet been issued. Historical patterns suggest that such delays can create a temporary advantage for the team operating in the gray area, as rivals hesitate to commit fully to risky technical solutions without regulatory certainty. This has placed additional pressure on team principals and engineers, who must now navigate a landscape of incomplete information while preparing for preseason testing and the opening rounds of 2026. Beyond the technical implications, the leak introduces a psychological dimension to the competition. Drivers are now aware that Mercedes may hold an unseen edge, influencing how they approach qualifying laps, tire management, and race strategy. The perception of a hidden performance advantage creates stress and uncertainty, which can lead to more conservative driving or hesitation in key strategic moments. This mental factor amplifies the competitive consequences of the leak, demonstrating that in modern Formula One, perception can be as impactful as measurable performance. The leaked specifications also reveal subtle innovations in Mercedes' cooling and energy recovery systems, which could provide consistent advantages over a race distance. Teams analyzing these features must consider how they interact with power output, reliability, and fuel efficiency. The complexity of the design means that rivals face an enormous challenge in attempting to match or counteract the performance without risking non-compliance. As a result, preseason development has shifted from pure optimization to a delicate balancing act between risk, compliance, and strategic positioning. Finally, the broader implications extend to governance and future regulations. The FIA's eventual decision on the legality of Mercedes' engine will set a precedent for other teams, influencing how power units are designed, tested, and interpreted for years to come. Teams must navigate this uncertain environment, making strategic, technical, and psychological decisions under pressure. The leaked data has therefore become more than a technical revelation. It is a catalyst for tension, recalibration, and competitive maneuvering across the entire Formula One grid, with ramifications that could define the 2026 season before a single race has been run. The key twist lies in the fact that the leaked Mercedes engine data may not just represent a technical curiosity, it has the potential to shift the entire competitive landscape for 2026. Rival teams are now forced to anticipate an engine performance that is partially invisible, operating in a gray zone where compliance and advantage intersect. Engineers, strategists, and team principals must rethink development plans, preseason testing, and race simulations, all while operating under incomplete information. The psychological strain of this uncertainty is already palpable, as the mere possibility of an unseen advantage can influence decision-making and risk assessment at every level of the paddock. Mercedes' thermal expansion system introduces a subtle but profound strategic dilemma. While it passes static tests, the engine reportedly delivers higher effective compression on track, potentially adding 15–20 horsepower. This hidden gain forces rival teams to simulate worst-case scenarios and adjust engine mappings, cooling strategies, and energy recovery calibrations accordingly. The uncertainty about the extent and consistency of this advantage adds layers of complexity, making preseason testing a high-stakes psychological and technical exercise, where every decision carries amplified risk and potential consequence. The FIA's delayed reaction compounds the tension. While formal protests are under review, no official ruling has been issued, creating a liminal space where Mercedes may exploit the performance advantage without penalty. Historically, such ambiguity favors teams with superior technical insight and strategic foresight, while rivals are constrained by caution and regulatory interpretation. The delay forces competitors to hedge decisions, divert resources, and operate under the shadow of uncertainty, introducing strategic leverage for Mercedes without a single lap being run. From a tactical perspective, the leak reshapes the preseason landscape. Teams must now prioritize defensive engineering, analyzing engine behavior under a variety of conditions while considering compliance and reliability. Every setup choice, simulation run, and fuel strategy must account for the potential extra power Mercedes may extract. This cascade of precautionary adjustments demonstrates how a single technical revelation can influence the broader competitive ecosystem, affecting not only the directly involved teams but also the strategic posture of every garage in the paddock. The psychological dimension extends to drivers, who must adapt to the knowledge that a rival may hold an unquantified advantage. This awareness influences qualifying aggression, race pace management, and overtaking strategies, creating subtle mental pressure that can manifest in mistakes or overly conservative tactics. The interplay between perceived performance and actual performance becomes critical, and the leaked data acts as a tool of strategic pressure, shaping both human and technical decision-making in ways that extend beyond measurable horsepower gains. Furthermore, the leak highlights the FIA's regulatory challenge. Any ruling will not only impact Mercedes but also set a precedent for other teams and influence future engine development. Teams must anticipate potential changes to compliance interpretation and test procedures while remaining competitive. The uncertainty forces engineers and management to operate under dual constraints, optimize performance while preparing for regulatory adjustments that may nullify certain advantages. This tension underscores how technical innovation, governance, and strategy are intertwined in modern Formula One. Finally, the broader significance of the twist is that the 2026 season may be defined as much by strategic intelligence and regulatory maneuvering as by raw performance. Mercedes' potential advantage, combined with FIA ambiguity, has created a preseason atmosphere of heightened tension, where every simulation, adjustment, and calculation carries amplified weight. Rivals are compelled to act preemptively, balancing innovation with compliance, while the championship narrative is already being shaped by unseen advantages and regulatory uncertainty. The paddock stands on edge, aware that the consequences of this leak could define the entire season before a single race even begins.